isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creatives, where we sit down, often with a special guest, and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. And who are we? Well, I'm Simon, and this is Greg with the bed head that you can't tell because he's got a cap on, but never mind. We are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers, and we love nothing more than drinking coffee and talking to others about wedding shit. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to have this episode. Greg, this episode is sponsored by With Jack. Did you know that?
I did.
I mean, every episode is sponsored by With Jack. So let's get on to it. Who are we talking to today?
We are talking to Savannah from A Girl and Her Phone.
Hey!
Hey! How are you guys?
Hello. We're good, thanks. So, Savannah, how about you tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Savannah Groves. My friends call me Sav, so you guys are officially my friends, and now you can call me Sav. So yes, I'm with A Girl and Her Phone videos. So I am an iPhone filmmaker that specializes in weddings. Yes, you heard that right. iPhone filmmaker.
Hell yeah.
If A Girl and Her Phone didn't give it away, there's the official disclaimer. Yeah, so I'm a wife and a mom, which are like my favorite things in the world. I'm also a marketing manager, so that's like my real job that puts the bread on the table. And then my passion is iPhone filmmaking and telling stories with my iPhone, primarily weddings and telling stories there. So yeah, I'm a busy gal and I'm so passionate and I'm so excited to talk to you guys today.
Yeah, and we are as well. But before we get talking about the business and how you do what you do and what you do it on, let's get to know you as a person. So what have you been up to recently? What have you been doing with your life?
I actually, so this is going to be boring because I've been on my first ever wedding break. When I started in 2019, I basically started and never stopped with weddings. So for the past 4 years, if I wasn't editing and I was all caught up, it was because I had a wedding the next day. Oftentimes had a backlog. So for 4 years, that weighed heavily on me. As you guys know, it's a beautiful responsibility, but the weight is also kind of heavy. It's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
In that 4 years, also I got married, I got pregnant, had a baby during the pandemic. We moved twice, built our dream home. So just a lot going on in a short period of time. So I decided I think it's time to like take a step back and rest, not to like take a step back and quit, but like take a step back so I can launch forward, if that makes sense. So I haven't filmed any weddings yet this year. I technically filmed one in January, but I count that as 2022 because it was like right after 2022. So my wedding season starts June and it's like bam, bam, bam till December. So basically what I've been up to is just trying to keep my toddler alive. And working, I serve as the vice president on a economic development committee, actually, in a small town. You wouldn't even know the somewhat big town I live in the United States. So you definitely wouldn't know this tiny little small town. But so the marketing manager position that I have is with my family's internet business. And it started out as a phone company and it's been in my family for 125 years. So I'm super passionate about my day job. That's why people will often say, why don't you quit your job and go full time with video? It's because, well, I'm kind of vested there, you know,
Yep.
fourth generation. And then hopefully my son will be the fifth generation owner one day. So where that business, excuse me, is based is where I serve on economic development. So lots of fundraisers that we've been putting on and planning events and things. So whenever I'm not keeping my toddler alive, I'm not doing marketing, I'm not filming, not editing, you can probably find me doing something with economic development.
Yeah.
And in my spare time, if I'm not doing any of those things, hopefully I'm drinking something awesome like coffee or a glass of wine with my friends or something.
Nice.
Yeah. I've got to ask, how many people have you spoken to who've asked the question, oh, you do this and you're a mom and you're a wife. How do you fit it all in? How do you like, have you been asked that before? Because I feel like I'm asked that quite a lot.
I just posted an Instagram reel about this yesterday because at my Shot on iPhone course that I did, like maybe a month ago now or more. What is time? I literally can't even keep track of.
Yeah, it's just a concept.
Yeah, whatever. It's a construct. It's not real. It's the government. They're controlling us all. No. So back on track.
Yeah,
So I know it's okay. I recorded that course that I taught. So it was just like a live recording of this course. And I have been slowly putting out videos from the Q&A session that I did. And someone asked me that at the Q&A session, I don't know, as a wife and as a mom and a business owner and a job, how do you do it all? And when you're asked things off the cuff, sometimes you don't have like a great response formulated. And I felt bad because I said, and you can see it on my Instagram reel, I'm like, I don't know, you just kind of do it. You just do the things that you have to do. You reprioritize on a daily basis usually, and things fall through the cracks. And for the things that fall, you give yourself grace and you just try again tomorrow. And so it's not a super eloquent answer and it's not super practical, but at the same time, I think that's really just, the answer is just, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. I think that's just that's being a parent in today's world where I think you just have to work. There's no perfection in it at all. It's if you got through the day and your kids didn't die, yes, that's a win.
Mission accomplished.
So, yeah.
That's my measure of success.
And I don't know, so you had a baby during COVID. Greg also had a child during COVID. I know you guys should be at the stage, if I'm right in saying, that you're cutting up all the grapes into like a million little segments to give to your kid, right? So pretty much this parenting moment, if I remember correctly, really is, how do I stop my kid from dying?
Yeah, everything's a danger.
It's genuinely the most terrifying thing being a parent. I love it, but it's terrifying.
Yep.
So
they get tall enough to reach the coffee cup on the table and you're like, right, I need to move it further onto the table. And then they get taller again and you're like, okay, now they can pull that off.
Yep. And now they're getting sassy as well. They're getting their personalities coming out.
Oh, yes. Yeah, my kid has started, his name is Jonas, by the way. I should probably I'll give him a name and everything. So to the podcast, for the people listening, he's 3 years old. He just turned 3 in March. He is just the cutest, most genius, everything a parent would say about their own child kind of kid. I just keep feeding and watering him and he just keeps growing. I don't know how that keeps happening, but here we are. So, but yeah, he's just the light of our lives. And as you know, having a baby during COVID, scary, but I don't know about you, but I know for us and our family, he provided such a light for our family in such a dark, scary, unknown time. So in some aspects, it almost felt like, oh my gosh, this is the worst time to be bringing a life into the world. But truly, in a lot of ways, it was the best, most perfect time. And of course, everything has its perfect time, its perfect season. And Jonas for us was such a beautiful representation of that in such a scary time in the world. So I know one day he'll come home from school and be like, Mommy, were you alive during COVID? I have to do a school project on it. Like kids ask us now about 9/11 and stuff. It's like, were you alive during 9/11? It's like, were you not?
Yeah,
I know, right?
How many years ago was that? It'll be like that with COVID someday. So
oh, man.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, you said you're taking a bit of a break from shooting weddings now, and that must have been like a conscious decision. What would wedding season normally look like at this stage of year? Would you have been shooting? Would the busy season have kicked off by now?
Yes. For the past wedding seasons since I started, usually my busy season starts in April. I have every year also shot weddings in January, February, and March. But I would, if I look back like through my bookings and things like that, April would be the time whenever I would start to do, I try to only do one a month now because I've learned my threshold and what I can handle as far as all of my other responsibilities, balancing that with serving my couples to the absolute best of my ability with my capacity. But that usually never happens because I have a hard time saying no. So April is normally where I would see, okay, I've got 2 weddings this month instead of 1. And usually from April to October is whenever I am seeing the weddings I'm turning down the most. So yes, it was an extremely hard decision. It wasn't hard in the fact that I knew I so desperately needed it. I needed the break. I needed to give my creative juices a break. Just, pumping out wedding films one after the other for 4 years straight. You just need to give your soul and your brain a little bit of a break from that. But yeah, so it wasn't hard in that aspect, but I had to turn away a lot of weddings. And I feel like whenever you say no a lot, stuff kind of slows down. I don't know if you notice in your guys' bookings, things slowing down. It's kind of slowing down for me for 2024 inquiries, which I feel like COVID probably has a lot to do with it. Like we were bombarded and we got used to being bombarded with inquiries, bombarded with bookings. I'm booked up for this year already and I have been for a long time, but 2024 is a little bit of a different story, which isn't a bad thing. I feel like that also means maybe I've found a better price to match the demand for my services, because for so long my price was too low and then I'd book up too fast. That's a whole nother discussion though. So yeah, this break has been great. I've had the opportunity to shoot more just for me or for my church or for my family, just for fun. I love shooting content for small businesses too. So I've been able to do a little bit of that. So yeah, I have stayed plenty busy. Definitely still haven't been bored by any means. So yeah, it's been great.
Good. So you mentioned you wanted to do obviously 1 a month, but sometimes 2. What's your comfortable number for the year then? Like what you said you're fully booked now. How many weddings do you have this year?
This year I have, oh my goodness. Should I go look? I'll count for you because I don't know off the top of my head. I'm opening up my honey book right now. I don't have very many, but that's good. I have a very comfortable number for me, which is all I care about. Because 1 year in 2021, I think it was, I filmed 25 and I was like, I can never do this to myself again. It was way too much.
Yeah.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 left for this year. So I would say 10 is a comfortable number for me and my threshold in this season of life, just with everything else I have going on.
So let's talk about then what you offer your clients, because obviously you do shoot on your iPhone, and I don't know if that makes it different from other filmmakers what you offer. So if you could go through your price, what you offer, how you do your packaging for your clients, that'd be cool. Oh dear, have we lost you?
Cut out.
Oh, are you back?
There we go.
Yes, I have you back now. Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Okay. Did you miss anything I said?
I heard walk me through your price, what you offer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So what I offer, I mean, here's my opinion. I really feel like the biggest difference between me and someone else is just the fact that I shoot on iPhone. I feel like my process, my editing, all of that is more similar than probably other people would like to admit. So, I take my client experience very seriously, getting to know my couples before their wedding day and their story, how to best serve them, figuring out what's going to be a part of their wedding film that's not just going to serve them on their 1-year anniversary, but on their 60th for their grandchildren. I feel like this is a big topic right now. Like, this is nothing surprising. This is what we should all be doing, So those are things I, too, am focusing on. So, story is a big part of what I offer. I'm big on audio. I have my Tascam DR10Ls, like everybody else and their grandma, that I use to capture audio on a wedding day. So what I offer, my pricing is adjusting every year. So my couples this year paid a minimum, I'll just say like a minimum, like my pricing started at $2,500 for this year. And what they get with that is unlimited day of coverage, which a lot of people don't do or agree to. And I could go into why that works best for me. But long story short, I have FOMO and I am okay. So my calendar, when I have a wedding booked, I pretty much have that whole weekend blocked out for them anyways. On their wedding day, I don't want to miss a thing. I don't want them to miss a thing. So I'm going to get there early and I'm going to stay late. So it was stupid for me having different time frames in my packages for me personally, because if they booked me for 6, it didn't matter. I was there for 10 to 12 anyways, because I wanted to be. So, but that was also doing myself a disservice, because I'm like, well, my compensation isn't reflecting that though. So it just didn't make sense for me, and it didn't make sense for my couples. So they get unlimited day of coverage up to 12 hours, which hardly anyone needs more than 12, as you guys know. So I feel like that's pretty good. That's a lot of coverage. They get a 1-minute sneak peek delivered the day or two after their wedding, because I remember when I was a bride and I hopped in the truck and we drove away from our wedding, I was like, okay, I'm ready for pictures now. Like, where's my wedding film? I know it's been 30 seconds. You probably haven't even packed up your camera gear, but like, I'm ready. Send me what you got.
Yeah.
So as a bride, I remember that anticipation. So, I mean, and like many other filmmakers, we get home and before our head hits the pillow, usually we're offloading footage so that we can start on the sneak peek as soon as possible. And then they get a wedding film, and I don't put time limits on it either. I just say it's usually anywhere from 5 minutes to 12 minutes. If you've got 5 minutes worth of a wedding film, that's what you're going to get. But if you have 12 minutes worth of a film, well, if you had 20 minutes worth of a film, I guess I'd give it to you. I haven't had that yet, but if you have 12 minutes worth of a film that contributes to the telling of your story in your wedding day, then by golly, you're going to get 12 minutes. And I just let them know, usually the amount of time I'm there filming reflects how long their film could be. So that's what's included in the base package for $2,500. My pricing for 2024 is all of that, but it's $3,000. And what I've actually done is also include my travel fee in that, which is awesome, because one of the key markets that is my favorite to shoot in is a couple of hours from me. And I don't want that to be a barrier for anyone. And so I'm like, if I want to be there, then I'm going to remove the barrier. So I've removed my travel fee for next year. I'm so excited about that. I just felt at peace about that it was the right move. And then, like I said, I offer second shooter, raw footage, rehearsal dinner. I haven't had anyone take me up on the rehearsal dinner toasts yet. Usually everyone in the States does their rehearsal, or not their rehearsals, their reception speeches and toasts at the reception instead of the rehearsal. But I'm waiting for the day. I think it would be so fun to get booked for multiple days. But here in the States, I feel like it's more that everything just happens on the one day, but hopefully that trend will shift and we'll see more multiple days of coverage here for me at least. And yeah, a wedding video playbook. Like I said, everyone and their grandma has the wedding video playbook too now. Those are the coolest things.
How do they sell quite well for you? The video playbooks?
You know, I haven't had too many people buy them. Maybe a handful.
Okay.
Maybe a handful. I could probably do a better job of reminding my couples though, hey, like Christmas is coming up. You know, you could buy this, because it's one of those things. Either I find that it's easier to sell something like that after they've already seen their film. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally.
For them to see the value in having a tangible copy of it has nothing to do with social media, nothing to do with online or on a USB or whatever. So truthfully, that's probably my fault. I just offer it. You know, when I used to have packages, when I would have, 3 different packages, it was included in like my top tier package. But yeah, I don't sell a ton of them. But hey, if you're listening to this and you're my bride, hey, buy one. I'll mail it to you. They're pretty cool.
We'll send you that clip so you can send your brides.
Yeah. But no, I'll be honest, they don't really sell that much for me.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about. So obviously, you have experience in marketing, and I feel like when I go to your website, that is very clear to me that you know how to sell yourself. You know what looks good, and now that you're starting to educate people on how to shoot weddings, what do you feel that other wedding filmmakers struggle with in terms of selling themselves?
Probably not understanding what separates each unique filmmaker. So let's remove the fact that because wedding filmmaking is a niche, I'm a niche within a niche. So let's remove that.
Okay.
But just, even if everybody had the exact same camera and the same gear and whatever, that you have had unique experiences, unique traumas, you have a unique perspective that absolutely nobody else in this world could possibly have because they haven't lived your life. And there is value in the way that you walk into something like a wedding day, the way that you're going to pay attention to detail, capture families and things like that, no one else is going to have. No one else has your eyeballs. Nobody else has your brain. No one else has your soul or your heart for people or whatever you're passionate about. So I think people can be encouraged that it's not just about making a pretty film. There's thousands of us that are doing that. But it's the unique perspective that you can offer. The best example I can give is that I have a friend in the industry. She's a photographer, and her and I had this conversation the other day about how she lost her mom a year ago. And it's been really hard for her because she feels really deeply about trying to connect with people on things like that, about losing loved ones. And she said, I've had people tell me though, that's too heavy wedding talk. Nobody wants to talk about that. And it's I have not had one wedding experience where there wasn't some sort of heaviness. The grandma just passed away. The parents are divorced. The brother doesn't have a good relationship and we don't know if he's going to say something. Grandpa died 30 years ago. Mom just passed away. I mean, it could literally be anything. There's always some sort of element. And I think that's whenever the statement of this is the best day of your life can be challenged, because it is a super great and exciting day. But, feelings can coexist. Excitement and love and happiness and all of that can coexist with grief that you may be feeling. And so I think then as us, the people who are capturing those weddings, we can connect with people in that way from the grief, in the trauma, maybe the things that we've experienced. So I know for that photographer, for my dear friend, she is going to capture a lot of mama on that wedding day, a lot of grandma. She's going to focus on those unique, special family connections because she knows what it feels like to not have enough photos with her mom. So I think people just realizing that it goes beyond taking a pretty photo or goes beyond taking a pretty wedding video, because we're all going to do that. But just that you have this unique life no one can take away from you, and your creativity stems from that. So that's probably one thing that I would say.
Yeah. And do you pull on those emotions in your actual films? Like, other than just showing more shots of family members or whatever, if somebody was talking about a bereavement or something, would you use that content in your film to tell like the ebb and flow of the story and pull on those emotions?
Absolutely. Especially if I know that's something that's important to my couple. So I really want to focus on those important relationships and the different emotions that are on a wedding day, because, you know, we could just put a pretty montage together and make it all look happy and good and whatever. But I like, in so many other filmmakers, we like to focus on the day as it is. You know, and so if that means showing emotions that are hard or including audio of things that aren't just happy, if that is part of what tells their story, is important to the couple, I will absolutely make a point to include that. And I have gotten feedback from my couples that that's appreciated. And I'm sure for other filmmakers who have done the same thing, I'm sure those things don't go unnoticed for them either.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of something that I read. It was a conversation on the forums online, and it was this. It was a filmmaker complaining about how his bride was smiling all the time when his style was more moody and stuff. And I thought, why are you trying to force a moment that's not there when you've been given laughter and joy and all these genuine emotions? It's just weird. So you are right about the interesting perspectives. But yeah, if you're creating something, definitely go with the genuine emotions of the day. Don't force yourself on it.
Yeah.
Well, you can, but you'll see what happens, I suppose.
You're doing everyone a disservice when you do that. And if I may say something controversial, I think it's fine to have a style in the way you want to color grade your films. Same thing with photographers. They have different presets that go along with their style and their look. But if you're a filmmaker, and we're talking not about the way you color grade, but like the style of your films, you can color grade your films moody if you want. I don't give a heck what you do. But your style should be story, period.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are doing your couple such a disservice by not telling the story of their day. It's not your day. This isn't a video for your portfolio. You know, this is someone's day, someone's story. So, I mean, and you can do it whatever way you want, but I'm just saying that you're doing them a disservice. You're doing your client a disservice in doing that.
Yeah, agreed. You were talking earlier about, what our job is and how it goes beyond, certain elements. I would guess that because you shoot on an iPhone, a piece of gear that probably one would consider a non-professional piece of gear for a filmmaker. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That because I've actually put your name to a few people already because I've been so impressed with the content that you do and how you market, and I've asked them if they had any questions for you. They've come back with kind of a rude question. They don't mean it. They don't mean it to be rude, and I don't mean it to be rude. So I'm just gonna say it. But like, how do you feel comfortable charging $3,000 when you shoot on gear? And obviously,
Consumer grade gear.
Consumer grade gear, like an iPhone, something that everyone has. Now, obviously, I told them, but I would like you to tell our listeners why that doesn't matter.
I don't take offense to that question at all.
Okay, cool.
That's a question I'm happy to answer.
Okay.
Because it's a simple answer. The demand for my services is what has set my price. I didn't set my price. I started out shooting for free because of that mindset. Yeah. How could I possibly pay someone, or how could I possibly ask someone to pay me to show up with my iPhone? They probably have the same phone, whatever. Well, once we get over that mindset, now it's like, okay, I can't keep doing this for free. Let's charge $500 and let's pray someone is going to think, oh yeah, I could pay her $500. To my surprise, people still booked. And I was still just booking like crazy. Okay, let's raise it to $800. Now, if people pay me this, they're crazy. I cannot imagine someone paying me. Okay, so you get the point. Mm-hmm. It just keeps going up. 800 to 1,000 to 1,200 to 1,500 last year to 2,500 this year to 3,000 next year. I just kept trying to, it's just the basic law of supply and demand. There is a low supply of me with a high demand. So what does that do to the price? The price goes up. Until you just find that happy medium in the middle, eventually your supply and your demand. Here, we're going to have an economics lesson. Is everybody ready? I got, my degree is in management, marketing, and human resources. So I had to take all the classes. Economics 101. Here we go. Awesome. So you've got your supply and your demand curve. Eventually, they're going to hit a point where they're in harmony. So that's now, I think, where I've hit that point. People cannot believe I charge anything for my work. And for a while, in the beginning, I was there with them. That's why I don't take offense to that question at all. Okay. And it is kind of crazy, but it's also cool because I can show people that it's possible, which is why I do what I do anyways, and why I stick with the iPhone, because it's possible, it's doable, and it's cool. So that would be my response to them. And they may not like that response, and they still may not agree with it, but they can ask my clients, I guess, and see their happiness, or they can go look through all of my 5-star reviews for themselves and let those speak for themselves. So
yeah. I think on the face of it, when people hear, oh, she's shooting on an iPhone, their first thought is, well, how can you price that much? But then once you look at the films and you see the storytelling, it's like, oh, right, okay, she's producing really good work. Yeah. That's how. And she's telling good stories. That's how. So yeah, once you dive deeper into it, it makes more sense.
Plus, I mean, I've been to weddings where like Uncle Bob has got like a $10,000 camera, £10,000 camera. Like, someone's always going to have better kit than you, but it's never about the kit.
Yeah.
Never.
Well, in comments I see a lot, because I have a reel right now that has a lot of views, getting a lot of attention, a lot of mixed reviews. And on the negative side of that is from filmmakers. And they'll say things like, no, where's the depth of field? No, I need that anamorphic squeeze. No, your sensor's so small. Do you think my clients know what you're talking about? My clients don't know what depth of field is. They don't care what kind of sensor my camera has. You know what I mean? It's like we're focusing on the wrong things. Don't get too caught up in the gear. Get more caught up in the story and loving on your clients and serving them well. And those are the things that are going to take you farther than how many pixels your camera has or, just things like that. And so when I see those comments, I get where they're coming from, because from a filmmaker standpoint, I know what they're talking about. And I love seeing those things too. But when we're talking about the clients that are paying you and hiring you, I'm going to be honest, most of them can't tell.
Yeah. Can we talk about log footage for a minute? I'm going to assume that you shoot on log.
I do.
Right. Okay. We don't. And I love the conversation, or almost the abuse that I get when I say that we don't shoot on log. because, I mean, does it really matter? Because,
Hey, who am I to judge? I shoot on an iPhone, so.
I know, but like people get really passionate about how you shoot, and it's just bizarre. I don't think clients really care.
Yeah.
Because the end product is going to be the same. Like,
Can I be honest? Can I tell you guys a secret?
We're only honest. We're only
the
honest
three
here.
of us and the whole wide internet. I might stop shooting in log. I might stop.
Oh my God. Can I ask why?
Because like you said, with the size of my sensor and the fact that I'm shooting on iPhone, I really don't know how much of a difference it makes, to be honest. But Filmic Pro, which is the app I shoot in, did just finally drop an update that includes LUT support. So now I can shoot in log, but preview it in D-Log with my D-Log LUT on it, which helps tremendously. So that might keep me around to shooting log for a while. But like you said, does it really make that much of a difference, especially shooting on iPhone? I'm really not sure it does. Now that they've dropped the LUT support, though, I may just keep doing it. But honestly, no judgment to you. I know a lot of people who shoot in a natural color profile or a custom color profile, or they shoot in auto white balance for the whole day or half the day, or shoot in Kelvin for the whole. I mean, there are 100 ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
As long as that cat's hairless, who cares?
Yeah, the reason we don't shoot log is because I love upselling the raw footage. And if I was a client and I got this gray flat image and I wanted to watch all the clips and I didn't know the technology and all the codecs and all the technical stuff behind how to make a film, I'd be kind of livid.
Yeah.
That I got
So you'd either have to add in another step to the workflow of selling that.
Yeah.
Or let them just see it as that washed out grey footage.
But then I know there's some people going, why'd you even sell the raw footage? Why would you do that to yourselves?
True.
And it's because I like to sing in the back of the camera so they get a nice little treat of a little sing-song of me.
I feel so bad for my couples that buy my raw footage because I just go feral behind a camera. I don't know what happens. Oh my gosh. I'm like screaming and just going crazy. I'm like, I love to be the ultimate hype woman. And if you buy your raw footage, you will be able to relive that forever.
Amazing.
Because all you can hear during portraits is me, yes, Gwen! Oh my gosh, that looks so good! Stop! Oh, just like screaming constantly. And I listen to it back. I'm like, oh my God, Zab. Why do you do this to yourself? But that is a great point about selling the raw footage and it's in log, because you don't know how many times I've had that thought. Luckily, I've never had anyone complain or mention it. But I kind of, I've never really said it out loud, but I kind of feel bad that they're buying the raw footage and it's in log. It's not even in a normal color space or whatever. I don't think the couples really understand that. But that's a great point you bring up. I've never thought it or said it in so many words, but that's something that is so true for me. And that is a thought I had with this LUT support, was that I could, film in log and I could burn in the D-Log LUT hypothetically instead of just previewing it, which I don't know how I feel about that. But I did have the thought of, well, that would be great. Or if I just shot in a natural color profile, because when couples buy the raw footage, it's going to look a lot better. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I actually totally agree with you, even though I'm doing the thing that you don't like.
It's not that I don't like it. I can't be bothered with the workflow, but I really do enjoy the little back and forth that filmmakers have about how we're not doing a good job, or I'm like, my clients like it. All right. So
talking about that, back and forth between other filmmakers, what's your sort of feelings about the wedding filmmaking industry at the moment?
I love it. I feel like I am seeing so much creativity that is inspiring me. I'm loving this kind of documentary push from some people of like making it almost look like reality TV. It's kind of cool. I'm loving seeing that side of the wedding filmmaking. I'm loving seeing people including more like raw moments, things that are unpolished, but are just so special. Things that a couple years ago, people, when they're culling their footage, would probably see a shake here and a shake there and would say, oh, can't use that. It's, you know, not perfect, or the exposure wasn't locked in or whatever. Those are the moments that when I watch other people's work move me, you know, when they're telling their story and things like that. So I'm loving where the industry is going. It's inspiring me so much because, like I said, I haven't filmed in like 6 months. So I've got all this like pent up energy. I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? People like By the Millers. I don't know if you guys have ever watched their work. By the Millers are incredible. They've got this really unique style that they've created that's like reality TV documentary.
Oh yeah, cool.
Cinematic. And it's just cool seeing people do things that are different. And, you know, they'll go on their stories and talk about, oh, you know, this section of the film, we were inspired by this film, you know, and not like a wedding film, like a Hollywood film that they're watching and drawing inspiration from TV shows and movies. And I'm like, that is so cool. Just hearing someone's process, but then also seeing it. So I'm super optimistic about the filmmaking industry right now. And I think there's so many creatives out there who haven't even started, but have so much potential, which is another huge reason why I use my phone, because a lot of people won't start because they don't think they have the tools to start. But that's what I'm trying to encourage people. It's like, no, you have storytelling abilities inside of you that's worth sharing. You have a creative eye that's worth sharing. You have a perspective worth sharing. You maybe don't have $10,000. You may not have $5,000. Grab this and go outside and start. And whether the phone is the end all be all, or if that is just a tool that gets them to the gear that they need to be the filmmaker they want to be. I think either way, it's a tool that's slept on either way. So, you know, I think the industry is only going up. I think we need more of us wedding filmmakers. So I'm never scared to share because I think there's so much untapped potential out there for people who haven't even started. But for the people who have, and they've been in the game and they've been doing the thing, I am just over here in awe of like, I cannot believe I am creating at the same time you are creating. What an honor. It's so cool. So short story long, I'm super optimistic. And I love seeing everybody's creativity.
Hell yeah.
How do you guys feel about the wedding video industry right now?
I mean, I just love the industry as a whole. I love working with other, like, because it's weird. So we normally shoot together. When we go to a wedding, we're always working with a photographer most of the time. I just love working alongside other creative people and shooting just some really pretty shit and being a part of these are moments that are like sometimes you can forget that this day is a once in a lifetime for them. And I really love when I stop thinking technically and I just like disappear into a moment and I realize that this is a privileged position, you know?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's cool. I really enjoy it. But you're right. I've seen some I love the filmmakers who like put a weird spin on it. Like they do like Call of Duty gameplay with gamers, or they do an office style, you know, like documentary wedding film. And I'm like, that is so awesome that people are trying these weird new things. I love it. It's cool.
Yeah, and it's cool because you can tell that they know their couple. They've learned their couple. They've learned that this is going to be the best way to tell their story. And when it's executed correctly, they nail it.
Yeah.
And that's just like the coolest thing to see is like somebody did their research, somebody put in the work, and somebody nailed it. We love to see it.
Hell yeah. I wanna hear more about your origin story, because obviously we've said so many times that it's not the gear that matters. And when I was introduced to your work, I thought that like you were the perfect embodiment of that message that we talk about so much on this podcast. Tell us about your background in filmmaking, and what inspired you to shoot on an iPhone in the first place.
Okay, so we're going to throw it way back. Because if we talk about me filmmaking, it goes all the way back to before I even have my earliest memories. So when I was born, the day I was born, I came out with a camera. No, I'm just kidding. No. Wouldn't that be crazy if I was born with an iPhone? It's like 1996 and I'm like, what is that? It's like the future. I'd be like, what is this baby? No, so my grandpa was at the hospital and he handed my dad his credit card and he said, go to Radio Shack or whatever was around at the time and buy the most expensive camera you can find so that you can capture this little girl's life, like all the home movies. So my dad went and bought the camera. And it was fine until I could walk because all of my home movies are just me spotting the camera and running to it. Let me see. I want to hold it. From my earliest stage, I was way more interested in being behind the camera than in front of it. So if you watch home movies to this day of me, that's all you see. Or my dad stealthily trying to like creep around the corner with the camera where I can't see until I eventually see and run to him. So I think that's cool too. And it's like, it makes me think about Jonas and little interests he has. I'm like, things now I don't think too much about. I'm like, man, in 10, 20 years, like, am I going to look back and be like, wow, he always showed interest in that. And I never like realized that was his calling. You know, that's so cool. So anyway, middle school rolls around and I would have sleepovers with friends and I would force them to be in my YouTube music videos and little skits and creations and just the gnarliest stuff. But I just loved filming and editing and doing just funny stuff. Of course, these were no hard-hitting emotional stories when you're 10. You know, they're funny stuff you get bullied for, but I didn't care. I loved it. So after like junior high age, I really didn't do much. I got more into like singing in the choir and doing school plays and speech and debate and that kind of stuff. So didn't really do much with that. But one day in 2017, I was a bridesmaid in a friend's wedding. And, you know, with my marketing job, I needed to be doing like a little bit of work in iMovie on my laptop to make some stuff for our website, just randomness. I'm like, yeah, I know the basic ins and outs of iMovie. Like, look at this music video I made in 2007. Like, you know, oh yeah, I'm an expert. So I don't know what in the world made me think, but probably just because I said, well, I have a camera. It's not this one. It was an iPhone 7 at the time, but you know what I'm saying? Well, I have a camera. That's, you know, it's good enough. I know how to use it. I know the basic workings of iMovie. Why don't I just go around and take a couple clips? Because she couldn't afford a videographer like so many people couldn't at the time. They were way more few and far between back then than they are now. You know, and I'll surprise her on her honeymoon. It'll be better than nothing, obviously. So I did it and she just like freaked out over it, which I knew she would. Like, it was cool. And most people watch that now and they're like, okay, that's better than I thought it would be, actually. You know, I flipped it horizontal and filmed in 16:9. And oh yeah, I knew exactly what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing at all. Fast forward a year, another bridesmaid from that wedding we ran into her at Hobby Lobby the night before her wedding, which I don't think you guys have Hobby Lobby in the UK.
We don't.
Basically, it's a huge craft store. And I mean, when I say huge, think of like a Walmart for crafts. I mean, you know, here in the States, everything's way too large. And Hobby Lobby is a great representation of that. So as a bride does before her wedding, she's like running late for her rehearsal dinner, probably looking for candles or something. We run into her and, you know, she just mentions, I already regret not hiring a videographer. And my heart just hurt when she said that. I'm like, well, I don't have anything better to do tomorrow. Like, I did this for her wedding. Like, do you want me to just come and do some stuff? You know, take some clips. I'll stay out of the way. If it's cool with your photographer, like that I just come. And she's like, yeah, sure. So that got posted on Facebook and it blew up. And not like blew up like thousands and thousands of views or anything like that. But in my local community, my, you know, private messages started to blow up. Oh my gosh, are you doing this now? My daughter needs a videographer. I need a videographer. You look affordable. Are you affordable? And I looked at my husband and I was like, I think I accidentally just started a business. So that night I like came up with the logo and made a Facebook page and just thought of a girl and her phone. And literally the rest is history. After that, I booked weddings. So I filmed that in December. The following January, I was already doing like multiple weddings in a weekend. And that is whenever the craziness started I started filming and never stopped. So when people say, what made you think to do an iPhone? Initially, it's just what I had. And I was like, it's better than nothing. And why I've kept it is because now my mission has almost kind of turned to showing people it's possible and inspiring people to start, that they can do it, whether they use it as a means of like, this is my end all be all tool, or this is the tool that's going to help me get to where I want to be. Because you don't have to go into debt before you go into business. Like practice on your phone and book some weddings for cheap and build your portfolio, save up money and buy your dream camera. That's totally possible and plausible. So yeah, there's kind of my origin story. I, you know, loved it since I was a little kid. I got to find those home movies and like post them on social media, make just a compilation of me running towards the camera as a child, because it's pretty funny. So yeah, I've always loved filming and I've always loved editing. So I always joke, I'm like, well, I've got like 20 years of experience of editing under my belt, but it's kind of true, but not really.
Yeah. Have you heard of White and Reverie?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Okay.
Their shot in Moab filmed on an iPhone 7 is literally the thing that inspired me, that I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it.
Right. Because I was going to say, I was like trying to do the internal maths in my head, which I'm terrible at doing. And I was like, does that coincide with the release of that film? Because I remember that pretty vividly. And I thought, man, that was really well done.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was inspiration for you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like I credit so much of my like gumption to begin with that. I went and bought a bunch of the gear that they used to make that film, because if you do if you go look in the description, you can see they listed all the gear that they used.
Yeah.
And you'll see in my descriptions now, it's a lot of the same gear. So yes, I look up to them as filmmakers so much. They're like some of the greatest of our time right now, I think, as far as storytelling, and just they're so technical and so technically correct, but still so artistic. And like they just balance it all so beautifully. And then I know their parents too. So I'm just like in awe of them. I'm so glad you mentioned them, because I just think they're like the best.
Yeah, they're lovely. So you've obviously decided to continue with filming on iPhone. Looking back now, what advantages do you think there is to filming a wedding on an iPhone? Like, does it allow you to get into moments a bit closer because you blend in even more as a guest, or is there any other advantages?
Or do you just like a challenge?
Well, that too, because there's challenges with every piece of gear that you use, you know, and advantages. So iPhone does have some advantages. So exactly what you just said. Not only does the iPhone like allow me to get closer, but it almost kind of forces me to, because, you know, my lens isn't really adjustable on my phone, and a 58 millimeter is about as good as I have. So that gives me about 2 times zoom, but that's not a lot. So if I want to get in there, your girl's got to get in there. I'm in the moment, I'm getting close, but it allows me to, because my gear is so small and it's familiar for people. It's not intimidating like a camera can sometimes be. And I always have to give this disclaimer when I talk about this, because I'm not saying like, if you use a Sony AS7 IV or whatever, like that you can't get in there and get those moments too. But I really like to be there in the action, capturing it, not off in the corner, capturing it with the, 200 or whatever you guys use, you're probably like, this girl doesn't know what she's talking about. But do you know what I mean? Like,
I totally know what you mean.
I'm not in the back corner. I'm right up in there, but people allow me that space. Not only because like I said, I've said many times, I really get to know my couples. Building connections is important. So it's not just my gear that they are allowing in their space. They're allowing me in their space because they know me. I know them. We've built trust with each other. Yeah. There's something to be said about people who allow you in their intimate spaces and feelings and things like that. So as much as the gear I'm using, I think has an advantage with that. I think the thing that has nothing to do with my gear and just has to do with me has a lot to do with it too. But that's a great thing, because that has nothing to do with using my iPhone. Like every filmmaker can and should do that and be building those relationships and trust with their clients.
We keep saying iPhone. I know, because I've obviously gone on your website, I've researched what you do. It's more than just an iPhone. So can you tell us what's in your kit bag, just for the people who are maybe a little bit more interested or skeptical?
Absolutely. I need a drink of water or a cup of coffee, because we're about to get into it.
Oh, hell yes.
Here we go.
Okay.
I also have lots of videos like on my TikTok and stuff about this too, if anybody wants to see or experience or get more detail. So I use a Beast Grip rig as my my run and gun setup that attaches to my Manfrotto monopod, which I'll use for a little bit more stability. But I love how quickly it'll detach when I just need to like run into the action. I use my Moment 58 millimeter lens for a majority of the day. I also have a wide 18 millimeter that I'll use to capture, establishing shots of the venue or the ceremony. I feel like these are all things that's like, oh yeah, I do that too. Or, it's like, okay, there's more familiar territory here than people would think. So yeah, those are the 2 primary lenses that I use on a wedding day. But Moment makes all kinds of lenses. They have anamorphic lenses and macro lenses and fisheye lenses. And I mean, they are so cool, the best. I also use the ND 2 to 5 stop filter. I have the LumiCube Panel Pros that attach to the cold shoe mount on my Beast Grip rig. So in those low light situations, a lot of people say, well, how in the world do you capture low light with iPhone? First of all, iPhone has decent low light performance. I'm just going to say it's probably better than what you think it is. I'm not going to say it's as good as a Sony, but I'm going to say it's probably better than you think it might be. And then especially coupled with the LumiCube, it's, that's a good combination for me. I'll set my second shooter up on the Manfrotto tripod. Which is my husband. I keep saying my second shooter. That's my husband, my sweet husband that I love so much. I stick him on the tripod. I'm just like, stand here, don't move, don't mess anything up. No, I'm just kidding. He's great. What else? Oh yeah, I have the Tascam DR10Ls that I use for audio capture. I'm looking to get some more audio gear this year as like an upgrade to my gear kit. So I'm excited about that. What else do I use? Oh, I have the Zhiyun Smooth 5 for my gimbal. I don't shoot a lot on a gimbal, only when necessary. Excuse me. I know there's a lot of people or a lot of filmmakers who will shoot 100% on a gimbal on a wedding day. Rest in peace, your back. Don't know how you do it. Yeah. Luckily, the Zhiyun smartphone gimbals are super lightweight. Once I started upgrading my gear kit and things like that, as you know, as you add gear, it gets heavier. Yeah. The iPhones are also getting heavier as they are progressing. And it got to a point where I could no longer shoot on my DJI Osmo mobiles. The motors weren't strong enough to even hold my gear. So I thought, I'm going to get a Ronin. I could do that. I could put my Beast grip on the Ronin. And technically I could, but it was too heavy. I couldn't carry it.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not very strong. So every time I see filmmakers with those, I'm just like, you lift. You may not have a gym membership, but you lift. Because those suckers are heavy. So my Zhiyun Smooth 5, it does the job. It does pretty good. But I don't shoot anything on a gimbal. I don't absolutely have to.
Yeah.
What else? I think that's it as far as my everyday wedding kit. So yeah. So there it all is.
Yeah. So the cameras or the phone is fairly sort of rigged out. So does that sort of offset any possible skepticism from guests? It's not as if you're turning up with just a bare bones phone like what the person next to you is as a guest. So I take it guests don't turn around going, oh, who are you? Are you a filmmaker? I can't tell. Does the rigging it out avoid any of that confusion?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll just say this. There's a reason why I carry a lot of business cards with me in my fanny pack at weddings, because in person, it is overwhelming positive interest. I haven't had at least anyone or experienced anyone in person being like, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? As far as a guest goes. I've had some vendors be kind of like, but to that I say, hey, you're good enough to be here. I'm good enough to be here. Let's work as a team and let's do the job. But so if people even notice it's my phone, that's the first thing, is because it's so decked out and stuff. Whenever this is in the rig with the lens on and then the big ND filter and then on the monopod, I would say majority of people don't even realize it's my phone I'm shooting on until they stand behind me and look over my shoulder and go, that looks like a phone screen. And then they ask, what are you shooting on? And I'll say, oh, my iPhone 14 Pro Max. And then the interest and the questions just start. But people think it's cool, which is great because I think it's cool too. So yeah, lots of, and then people, what's funny is a lot of people around here who hunt, guys who, I don't know why they want to film what they hunt because that's not my thing. But I have a lot of guys who hunt who say, hey, that setup looks good for my stand. Can I get links to your gear or whatever? I've had so many of those guys at weddings and I'm like, sure, I don't care. I don't know what you're using it for, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, I'll give out a lot of links to the guests at wedding or hand out my cards or whatever of people who are interested. So
yeah. Does it help that, you mentioned that you're a niche in a niche. Does it help with marketing, the fact that you shoot on an iPhone?
I think I'll say this, in a saturated industry, it helps me stand out. It piques interest and it almost kind of, I'm helping kind of like build this niche from the ground up. I'm not going to say I'm the one, because there's tons of people who have been doing this longer than me. Not really the iPhone thing, but just like mobile filmmaking in general. People would probably be surprised to know how many people are out there doing legit work on their smartphones. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I would say marketing advantage, sure. You know, I think everybody can market themselves well, though, no matter what gear they use. But it definitely makes you stop scrolling when you see it.
Yeah. Do you have any names of people who have inspired you who also shoot on a phone?
So there's a guy on Instagram called Go Film It. He shoots like documentaries and stuff all around the world on his iPhone. He's in Kenya right now. He doesn't shoot solely on iPhone. He's got like, it seems like he has one of every kind of phone and one of every kind of rig and one of every kind of microphone. Like, it's just cool. He is the real deal. He's super cool. Also on YouTube, there is an account called iPhoneographers. I've learned a lot from them over the years. And then I have to look up his name. So pardon me for having to look it up, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention him while I'm talking about people, because I've learned so much about Filmic Pro from him. His name is on YouTube. Sorry, hold on, please. Like I said, I'm like, I can't not mention this guy. Simon Horrocks. He, I believe, is in the UK.
All right.
He has incredible Filmic Pro tutorials. So none of these people are really in the wedding space like I am, but I've learned so much, and they've definitely helped to keep me going and sustain me in my journey. Helped my work to get to where it is today. As far as like just wedding filmmakers, because like I said, there's really not a lot of us like iPhone wedding filmmakers out there.
Yeah.
But people that inspire me, oh my goodness, Ray Roman. My films won't look like his. I don't care. I would die for that man because of how incredible his films are. By the Millers are incredible. They're based out of Texas. The Quail and the Dove out of...
Oh, they're amazing.
Oh,
yeah.
I love them so much.
I've just contacted them to be on the podcast. Funnily enough.
They don't know me. So here's my connection with Quail and the Dove. They don't know me.
Okay.
At all.
I'll say you're a big fan if we speak to them.
Yeah. Such a big fan. So I did a workshop I didn't host it. I attended it in Palm Springs a couple of years ago. And there was a local there who said, oh my gosh, like your work is so cool, whatever. We don't really have a lot of filmmakers out here. Like, should I tell couples to look you up and book you? I'm like, no, because I have a little one at home. Like, I can't be getting on flights to Palm Springs regularly. But she said, you may want to look up this one account. She said, they are like some of the best I've ever seen. The Quail and the Dove. They're out here. Like, they're really the only ones I can even refer my couples to, because they're just, the best. So that's how I learned about them, was from a local out there at this workshop. And of course, the minute I looked them up, I was just obsessed. So yeah. Super inspired by their work. Anyone that, as I'm scrolling through social media, I don't even have to look at their name. I can just say, that's by the Millers. That's Quail and a Dove. That's this person. I'm really inspired by people who I can just instantly recognize their work. I think that's such a cool thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm trying to remember why. Obviously, the work's amazing, but were they on Love Stories TV?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think they won one of the awards. I think.
Right. Okay. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Okay. That's where I was doing it. Cool. If you're enjoying this conversation, sorry, Sav, 2 seconds. If you're enjoying this conversation, you can hit that subscribe button at youtube.com/ youtube.com/@perspective by Cinemate, and you can get the content when it releases. You can also download the podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Well, let's continue. Sorry, had to do the little YouTube ad thing.
That's okay. I don't know if it's on your end, but I just want you to know the frame shifted to where it could see both of you to now I can only see Greg.
Oh,
Well, that's terrible. What have you done, Gregory?
I was just like, before we continue, you
oh
should
wait, hang
probably
on. I
just
should be able to press that. Is that better?
There you go.
Has that changed
Yep.
anything? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Nice. That worked.
Also,
We've got a new webcam, which
Yeah.
is, so we're recording on a other camera, but we've got a webcam so that you can see us, and it's new, but that button just worked, so that's good.
Good.
That's
Okay.
good,
Well,
that's good.
I was like, I don't want to record the rest of this, and it's not right. And you go back and be like, oh my gosh, why didn't she tell us? Like, it's like having spinach in your teeth and no one telling you. It's like, I'm a good friend. I promise. I'll
Thank
tell
you.
you whenever your
thank
framing
you.
is off.
Thank you very much. On the while we're dealing with technical issues, do I need to keep flipping these because it's distracting me? No. All right, cool. I'm sorry. I've got this device down here where I'm live cutting, but we've changed the setup, so now I don't need to do that, which is great. I can just focus on you, Sav.
Okay.
What a relief. Oh, okay. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Yay.
Okay. Our listeners have just had an ad break at this point, so now we're back. Thank you for bearing with us. Are there any specific techniques or practices that you follow during filming that you feel helps you get the best quality out of the footage that you take?
I would just say, like, when it comes to iPhone, I probably don't have as much wiggle room as maybe other filmmakers. Like, I feel like I have to nail it in camera for it to look decent. So paying attention to my shutter speed is something I've found that really makes a difference for my films. I know a lot of filmmakers will say it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter if it's, double your frame rate or whatever. But for me personally, on the iPhone, I have found it to be a huge difference. iPhone also just naturally overexposes. So just making sure I've, got my ND filter on there, trying to block out too much light if it's coming in.
Yeah.
That's another good thing about filming in log, though, is that I can drag those highlights down pretty comfortably before it falls apart. That kind of helps to achieve more of the look I'm looking for. So yeah, just making sure I'm nailing my settings while I'm filming. Filmic Pro makes it pretty quick and easy now that I've done it a handful or two of times.
Yeah. And I take it that's what you're shooting on, because I'm assuming the what's the app called? I can't remember.
The native
Like
camera.
the native
The
camera app?
native, whatever that native app is called. I'm assuming that'd be pretty rubbish for the work that you do.
For me personally, yes, just because of the fact, besides of 100 other things, that your exposure and your focus lock are in the same tap.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I will always need those things to be separate, So I know some iPhone filmmakers or like people just starting out who are in the native camera app, and which is totally fine. Like start where you're at and then build up from there. You can only go up. So Filmic Pro, it takes time to learn and things like that. But yeah, I feel pretty confident that if you asked me to film anything on an iPhone, or if you challenged me to be like, okay, you can only shoot this in the native camera app, I could probably finagle a few things. I could probably go in there and tap to lock and drag the exposure down a little bit, but you don't have near the precision or control that you have when using Filmic Pro. Also, just like features like focus peaking, I use that a lot in my filming, just because my screen is quite large, but especially in bright filming conditions, sometimes it can be kind of hard to know, like, is my focus locked in where I want it to be and stuff. So focus peaking is not a feature that is obviously in the native camera app. So just things like that. That's like, I could do it, but Filmic Pro, I'm definitely all the better for using Filmic Pro for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other apps that you use to complement that? Do you use any editing apps for putting quick clips together at all? Or is there any other apps you use in the process?
Not for weddings, just for general social media stuff. I mean, maybe I'll use CapCut if I'm doing something super quick and easy, but I do all of my editing in Final Cut Pro. So all of my, all my culling, assembling, my color grading. Sometimes I'll do a little bit in DaVinci, but that's still pretty over my head. And really, I haven't found anything in Final Cut Pro that's like I needed more out of it. It pretty much does everything I need it to do. I know there's a lot of other filmmakers that I really respect that use Final Cut Pro too. Some people will say, just like you not shooting in log, they'll say, well, you're not a real filmmaker if you don't use Premiere Pro or whatever. And to that, I say, well, some of the people I look up to the most, like Forestry Films, I use his LUTs and stuff. David, he is an incredible filmmaker who films who edits in Final Cut Pro. So I'm like, you're not going to tell me David's not legit, because I've been knowing David is legit. So, so yeah, sometimes I'll use CapCut, but the primary like method of editing is Final Cut Pro for sure.
Is that on a desktop, or do you download that onto your iPad, or what? In fact, what is your workflow for a wedding? So you've come back home, then what?
I'll plug in my iPhone directly to my MacBook Pro, and I'm trying to remember the exact term that Apple has for it. I don't think it's file sharing, but basically I can actually go into my phone and I can go into the files section, and Filmic Pro has a folder. So I can choose all of the clips that I've shot from that day, and I will transfer it to a folder on my Lacy. And once all of those files move over from there, I import them into Final Cut Pro. And then I'll do the same thing with all of my audio files from my Tascams. I have like a little adapter where I can plug in my little micro USB into it. And I'll copy those files to the Lacy. Everything also gets copied over to a Samsung solid state drive just as a backup. All of my editing in Final Cut Pro happens on that Lacy hard drive as well. So, import the clips, they transcode. I cull my clips. I'll go through and I'll do my story process. So a lot of that is things I've either taught myself for my own process, or from David Reynosa with Forestry Films, his Craft 5K wedding course that he came out with. So between me and David, that has built my story process. So I go through that after I've culled, and then music, and then I pick music, which is usually
You don't enjoy the music?
The energy just dived there.
I love picking music. It just sometimes is really hard. One way that I have found that helps is that MusicBed actually has a playlist on Spotify. Don't know if you know that. And they'll put new releases on every week. And so if I know that I have a film coming up, or if I'm in the middle of wedding season, I will listen to that MusicBed playlist. And if I hear something that has a good beat that I think could work for something, I'll favorite it. And whenever I'm feeling real stumped, then I'll go and find those artists. And MusicBed is good too, because if you find something that you think is on the right track, but not exactly, it'll give you suggestions for other things like it, or other artists like it. So eventually, after falling down the rabbit hole for 20 million hours, I'll find the music. And then, I feel like now at this point, it's pretty similar to other filmmakers' processes. I go on MusicBed. Now I'm assembling my A roll, and then my B roll on top of that, I do A-roll first, B-roll second, just to help complement whatever story I'm telling. And then we color grade and do sound design, and then it goes off. I mean, there's lots of steps in between there, but that's like a long story short, I guess, of my workflow for a film.
I use the love button a little bit different from the way that you use it on MusicBed. So when I'm going through, let's say I'm working on a project with a couple, I'm looking for music that will fit them, and I'll go through and I'll, no, yeah, that could fit in a part. And I'll keep going through all the lists, all the playlists, all the artists I know. But when I come to a track that I know I love, but it's weird and it's not going to fit in every wedding film, just the ones that I can maybe get away with, I heart those ones and I put them in a special weird playlist. And I keep them on record for when there's a couple who are like alternative or a little bit edgy. I can crack out that playlist and be like, yes, I can now play with these songs.
I love that. Is it a part of your guys' process with your clients to ask them about their music tastes? Because that's a big part of my process. Yeah.
Yes. The way we do it is that we ask them quite a lot of information about how they got engaged and about the relationship. But right at the bottom, it's what are your 5 top favorite songs of all time? And that's for the bride and the groom as well. And it's really interesting when they pick genres that they are very different. Like, I actually quite enjoy the playfulness that I get to have between mixing the genres in a wedding. I really have a good time.
Yeah, but we definitely make a point of saying like all-time favorites. Just generally, what do you listen to? Not
no music.
Don't give us wedding
songs
because it's maybe not going to work for the flow of the story, and also a lot of it will be copyrighted stuff that you can't use. So yeah, we like to make a point of just what do you like listening to, so that in 30 years time you'll hopefully still like that style of music.
Yes, indeed.
And
obviously it's educating them too on, well, we're not going to offer you commercial music because that's illegal, or you can pay a lot of money, which is fine. But the fact and the fact that we have our creative process, which you have bought into, so let us pick the music for you. Obviously, that's part of our skill set. And I mean, very rarely do they come back to us and ask for changes. Obviously, it's happened once or twice when I've gotten a section wrong in our many years of experience. But you just change it and you give them what they want and you move on. So
I have a fun story. So I'm sure it'll happen eventually. I just haven't came across it, but I haven't had anyone complain about their music or have me change it. So that's like nice, but I'm sure it'll happen. I feel like it happens to everyone at some point. So I had a bride and groom, super cool people, super cool. They were huge music buffs. And I had to educate them on the whole, I can't, license these songs off the radio that you want. This is why, and this is what we do instead. That's legal and good. But this groom, he was so set, like he had it in his head. And well, let me tell you this. So they had a videographer before me. They dipped on them like the week before their wedding. And this videographer promised that he would use all these songs in their film, which that's shady. So this groom had it in his head, like, these are the songs for his wedding film. And they meant so much to him. And I told him, I'm like, I can't do that, but like, I'm going to do my best to find music you're going to love based on those songs. He was like, I just don't know if I'm really going to like my film very much if those songs aren't in it. And long story short, your girl pulled it out, knocked it out of the park. And he was like, I couldn't have picked better music. I actually like those songs better than what the songs I had in mind were.
Oh,
so it's like
nice.
clients have to trust us that we know what we're doing. Like, we're not just videographers or editors, like sound design and a little bit of music production. What are their names? Oh my gosh. Multiply Media. Hello. Some of the greatest sound designers of the wedding industry, like probably ever. You know, our clients got to trust us with that, because we'll do them right.
Yeah. And we'll spend our many days finding the right soundtrack.
I don't think they realize how many hours we spend listening to music. Like, sometimes I just have to stop because everything starts to sound the same and I'm getting delirious and a little angry. And I'm like, okay, I got to step away.
Obviously, I mean, again, that reminds me of another conversation that I was part of, where we were talking about our processes in terms of music and stuff. And I quite enjoy the process of looking for different songs and trying to make our wedding films, you know, different for each couple. But there is something to be said about, you know, you're creating these films, pick, you know, have a playlist, pick some songs that, you know, will kind of work for everyone and just reuse songs. I still don't like that idea, but I can understand the time saved versus the money made in their argument. Have you ever considered having a selection of songs already pre-thingied for every wedding? Pre-thingied, because I don't know my words. You know what I mean, right?
Like a curated, like a pre-curated list of songs that just would like work for everybody. No, because it's been presented to me, you know, a couple of times. I have friends that are filmmakers that I respect the heck out of who use the same song every single time.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, my couples haven't noticed yet, and I like the song. And I'm like, hey, who am I to judge? I film on iPhone. You know, I just keep coming back to that. No, whatever works for you and your clients and makes them happy, because it literally, none of us on social media matter if we like it or not. If your paying clients are happy, it's literally all that matters.
Yeah.
But for me, I think music and sound design and audio is half of the story. So for me personally, that doesn't work for my process. And yes, it's challenging at times, but it's kind of like having a kid. You know, having a kid is challenging, but there's more joy in it than not. So it's kind of like picking music. Yeah, there's challenges and frustrations and things like that, but I would never take away that part of the process because of the frustrations, because I feel like it adds that much more value to their film. So I have never reused a song once. I feel very like strongly about that just for me. And then even I'll go so far, if I scroll on social media, I'm like, they used my song. Like, that was a filmmaker. Like, I know we all pay for the same music bed, but like, that's not the song for that person's film. Like, that's the song for my couple.
I have a really funny story about that, actually. So the music to the podcast, I don't know if you heard it. It should have come through your headphones. Our listeners will be very familiar with it. I saw that song in a flower advert. I mean, they made flowers look fucking epic. But honestly, I was like, oh, do I now need to change the podcast music? Is it now theirs? How does this work in terms of my psyche? Like, oh no. But yeah. Funny.
It's because we just want to be original.
That's right. That's right.
I remember that happened years ago with the slow-mo booth video that we did. There was like this horn section song that we used. And then it was used in a massive TV ad, and it hit the charts and stuff. And it was like, wait a minute, that's what we used for the slow-mo booth.
By the way, I still remember. I'm pretty sure that was. I just sang it there.
Yeah,
that was it, right?
Yeah.
How do I still remember that song? It was like 9 years ago.
Because it was everywhere at that point. After, like, we used it, and then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, I'm hearing it everywhere now.
There's a song you guys probably, I feel like anyone who's a part of the wedding filmmaking industry has heard this song. It was so overdone last year, but it's called like Future Hit on Music Bed. It's like, future, Future. You know what I'm talking about? It's like that really super hyped up song that everyone and their grandma was using for their wedding teasers last year. I loved it so much, but after like the third time of seeing it on my scroll, I'm like, well, now I can never use this because like, and now by this time I feel like hundreds of people have used it already. I'm like, well, that ruined that song for me. But,
man, I don't know this. I don't know this song. What is this song?
Oh my gosh!
Can I have to look it up?
Can you look it up in your computer and play it through the? Would that be too much? Is that too technical?
Can I?
Yeah.
Here, I'll look it up.
Do you have it?
Yeah. Can I do that?
Go for it. Is it? Oh, who am I? Right, listeners, put money on who can do it faster, Greg or Sav.
Well, I don't know what I'm looking for actually. Our future is what I'm searching for.
Here we go. Hold on. Play.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you our future. Our future. Our future. Our future.
Oh yeah, I can see why. Yeah.
I know it's awesome. First time I heard it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. But then after the fifth time, I'm like, dang it.
Who's
like,
what's the name of the song and who's the artist? Because I'll try and plop in the original so that people can hear it.
Future Hit by Louis II.
Louis II. All right, cool.
So that's what it looks like.
Nice.
So,
It's an awesome song, but I swear everyone and their grandma was using it, even if like that song did not fit the vibe. You know what I mean? Like people just wanted to say they were able to use it before it came and went out of style.
Yes.
Man, yeah. R.I.P. that song because 2022 killed it. But I can't believe you guys hadn't heard that song.
I haven't heard that before. I feel like it's the same with cars though, right? Like I recently upgraded my car and now I'm seeing that car everywhere.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God. What?
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Now you're going to hear it everywhere.
Yeah.
You'll like walk through Walmart and be like, oh my God, is that Future Hit? I think on the radio?
I don't have the heart to tell her. We don't have Walmart over here.
Oh, shoot. Sorry. I'm such an American. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I'm the worst.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We know what Walmart is. We've heard the rumors.
Yeah. But as you say about audio, like it's a massive part of the film. And obviously you've upgraded your audio gear to be wireless and you're recording on proper microphones close to the source, which will help just level up your films, obviously. Yeah.
Yes. I've heard it said before many years ago. I can't remember who, what, when, where, why said it. But it's so true that if you think about watching like an incredibly done film filmed on like a Red or a 6K camera or something, but think about if the audio is like straight out of camera or just yucky, that would be kind of like, it would make my skin crawl a little bit to watch it, even though the picture may look gorgeous. But then you take a film like mine, I'm not going to say it's low quality because I don't think it is, but you know, people would say it's less quality or whatever. It's not 6K, I'll tell you that. But if I have really strong, polished audio, I feel like there's one that's clearly more, palatable to watch. So I have always gone in with like the attitude that I'm going to, really focus on sound design, recording quality audio, having backups, and things like that. So there's things for my gear this year. Like I'm not looking to buy more camera gear. I'm looking to upgrade and add more audio gear to enhance my films in that way.
Yeah.
So I can't remember who said that, but I think it's so true.
Let's talk about mics for a minute because it used to be, I don't know if it still is, but obviously ideally miking the bride, but I've never liked doing it. I've never liked fiddling with the dress before the bride gets into it, and I don't like asking the bride to put on a little thigh,
Like a thigh strap.
Yes, thank you. I just don't enjoy that. even when I educate the brides about it, I still don't enjoy doing it. I feel like it adds pressure for them. And a lot of the times, we're shooting elopement, so we're out in the hills, and it's just, you don't want to be hiking with all that gear on you. However, I've enjoyed using the Sony recorders, the dictaphones, the TRX 650s, just putting that down the cups. However, I did that at my most recent wedding, and I forgot my slight etiquette. And this might have come across badly with another bride, and it might have been because the bride was so open and we were just having a good banter that we were just like, I was just like straight in there. And I need to remember to put up the wall sometimes, because I have 3 kids. Half the time they're running around causing carnage, or running around butt naked, or like it's not there anymore, so I was straight in with the audio recorder. I mentioned I was going to do this, obviously, and she was like, yeah, go on, straight in there. And I was faffing around for a little bit longer than I would usually. But do you have like any funny stories where you're like trying to mic someone, or even what is your miking process for people who might want to dabble in video and do some audio work but not really sure how they do it?
So before I go into it, your camera shifted again. Just so you know.
I think it's your hand gestures.
Is it?
Hold on.
Can I test that?
Is that us?
Boop.
There you're good.
Yes.
Now you're good.
Okay.
Okay. It's just a fact that audio would be better if the bride was mic'd. Okay, we can all agree on that because it's just a fact.
Yep.
I don't mic the bride. For ceremony or anywhere that I can't guarantee that she's going to just like sit or stand still. So, I will just pull her audio from the officiant or the groom's mic for the ceremony. But if they're doing a private letter reading or a vow reading to where I know she's not going to be walking around, like I know she can just stand still or sit still, I'll mic her. Then I feel comfortable doing that. I just make sure that the lapel mic gets clipped somewhere on a strap very gently, because oftentimes dresses have a lot of intricate bead work or lace work, and I am not about to be the person that like rips that off. So I'll just clip it really gently on like the side that like when I'm filming would be less obvious, I guess. And then instead of clipping it on her dress, normally the bride's dress will be fitted and well tailored enough that I can just kind of slip the box between her skin and the dress. That way I don't have to clip on any lace or any beading or anything, because like I said, I'm not going to be the one that rips the dress. God forbid. And I haven't had any issues with doing that. I've never had anything fall off or whatever, or any complaints. It's a little bit more work in post for ceremony stuff, just to make her audio sound a little bit better. But I mean, I haven't experienced anything bad enough. And, this is a big conversation between like Wild Oak Films and John Bunn Films with how to film weddings. They actually just had a podcast episode that they talked about this. And John is like a team no mic the bride, and Nick is a huge proponent of you always mic the bride, which he has Jen, his wife, with him, and I think she kind of does that. I think that's a huge conversation too. Like, props to you for miking your bride, like, and feeling comfortable, and your bride's feeling comfortable enough to allow you to do that. But like, I know a lot of gentlemen in the industry, for obvious reasons, probably who shoot solo or don't have a woman with them, probably wouldn't feel comfortable getting all in there, because you kind of got to get in there. You got to strap it to the thigh. You got to tape it somewhere inconspicuous. Sometimes their dresses are really low cut or whatever. It's just like lots of little intricate things like that. So I personally, Nick will always say, yeah, the groom's mic is good enough till it's not. And I totally understand that. The officiant's mic is good enough till it's not. Totally understand that. The officiant's mic is good enough till it's not. And I totally understand that. The officiant's mic is good enough till it's not. And I totally understand that. The officiant's mic is good enough till it's not. Totally understand that. You know, the officiant's mic is good enough till it's not. Totally understand that. I, knock on wood, haven't had anything yet.
Yeah.
I also want to, just add more backups to my backups keep, any scaries at bay about not miking the bride.
Yeah.
But props to you for doing it, because I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it doesn't make a difference, because I know it would make a huge difference, which is why I'll do it in certain situations. But whenever it's ceremony or something where I know she's going to be walking down the aisle and standing up there and stuff, I just, I'll use different audio for that. So that's kind of my miking process.
And do you know the new trick now with the AI software to use is it Adobe Shasta? Shasta? Is that right?
I don't know what that is.
Is that not what it's called? Hang on a minute. I know what it's called.
Is it not
Enhanced speech.
podcast AI or something?
Is it not? Has it rebranded? I'm pretty sure it used to be called Shasta.
Is it Adobe? Because
It's podcast.adobe.com enhance.
Yeah. But Final Cut has it built in, doesn't it? Where it's got the audio enhancement feature. Is that right?
Final Cut has a little bit of audio controls. The newest thing is the voice isolation, which works very well. It works very well.
I wasn't losing my mind. Project Shasta. Shasta.
Shasta.
That's what it is. Right. That's that.
But yeah, essentially it's the same as
Anyway.
the voice isolation feature, but it's like a web app that you have to upload it to, process it, and then re-import it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So for anyone out there who's wanting, like, I use it quite often if there's too much background noise. I just chuck it in there, re-download it, and I'm actually.
It's not perfect every time though.
It's not, because it's AI. It can come off a little bit robotic at points when you're really pushing it, and you have no control of the settings. You just put it in, it does the work, and you get it back. So I'm noticing actually that they've slightly changed it recently. There's max file size and duration. That's new. But yeah, totally. So if anyone's out there and they have a Sony T650, try shoving it down the dress right between the breasticles there, and then running it through Adobe's podcast software.
Yeah.
Great.
Let's shift gears a wee bit for a few minutes to.
Wait, you don't like talking about the breasticles?
It was when you called them breasticles. That's why I thought we shifted.
Sorry, don't know why I called them that. To be fair.
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
Let's shift to your marketing expertise.
Jesus Christ.
We've talked a bit earlier about how you the iPhone is a niche within a niche and you lean into that in your marketing. So tell us a bit more about how you emphasize this selling point and use that sort of differentiation to market yourself.
When it comes to marketing myself to my clients, I don't feel like it's really a huge push I use. So this is kind of a new thing where I'm not switching to education, but more so adding it to where I have people interested in learning more about iPhone filmmaking and mentorships and things like that. So I feel like that's where I lean more heavily, and that's where I've been at the past 6 months. So most of the stuff you've probably seen has been me like marketing the iPhone fact. That's what I use.
Yeah.
So I feel like it works really well for people who are interested in that. When I'm marketing to my wedding clients, I focus more on story and moments, and things that make me more valuable as like a wedding videographer and has really not anything to do with the iPhone at all. So I guess my marketing tactic just kind of changes up for who I'm targeting. So for right now, I haven't really focused, like I said, on booking. I am booked up for the year. My 2024 books are open, but I'm not sweating it. So I've kind of shifted gears a little bit and tapped a little bit more into this new opportunity of education. I had the Shot on iPhone course that I had the opportunity to teach. Then I recorded it and posted it, and it's done better than I imagined it would. And possibly maybe some mentorships coming up in the works. I hesitate even saying that, but we're going to dip our toes in it. We're going to just see how it goes. I'll never say never. I'll try anything at least once. And I do love just like encouraging people to try and teaching and helping because, there was a lot of pain points when I started that I worked really hard to learn. How do I fix this? Because a lot of people will see the pain points with the iPhone and immediately just write it off as a tool in general and say, no, I'm not messing with that. I'm going to go get a Sony or a Fuji or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing was I was just like, no, like I think any problem has a solution. Let's try to solve it. And fortunately for me, I stuck with it and I've found a lot of solutions to a lot of problems. I haven't solved every problem, but I think every problem can be solved. So I'm excited to teach people that.
What are some of the problems that you haven't solved yet?
Some of the problems I haven't solved yet?
Yeah.
A lot of them I think is just going to be problems I need to throw money at. But you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Upgrading lighting, sometimes, low light performance for iPhone obviously isn't going to be as good as a Sony. So I'm thinking I maybe need to work on upgrading my lighting. The Panel Pro Mini works really good for like receptions and when I'm in the middle of the dance floor, but I really want to work on better lighting my toasts and things like that. So whereas maybe you could get away with some of the environments that I am in or most filmmakers are in with just your Sony and no extra lights, I think in order to produce a better result, I'm going to need to maybe get some better lights. So like I said, I've solved half the problem with the Panel Pro Mini, but that doesn't solve all of the problems. So lighting the toasts, what's another problem I haven't really solved? Well, Filmic Pro solved my problem of filming in log when they just introduced LUT support. Yeah. So that was a huge headache of just like, gosh, I hope this footage is going to look okay. Which I know sounds weird. If you're my bride listening to this, don't be like, oh my God, like, could she have messed up my footage? No, it was fine. But when you're filming in log and if you don't have a preview of what it's going to look like, I mean, all you're seeing is just the washed out image. So you just make sure those settings are locked in and, you practice and you film enough to know kind of what it'll end up looking like in post. But anyway, besides the point.
Yeah.
So I would say like that's it's not a problem, but it's just an area I can improve, I think, is, adding better lighting to my toasts and making those look better. I feel like a lot of people, do you guys deal with like your gear overheating in the UK? Like, does it get so hot there that your gear just freaks out?
I mean, we're more scared of the rain. We don't, overheating is never really an issue for us. No. I wouldn't say. Like in like July, in your outdoors in direct sun.
Yeah, but
maybe
if we just take the sort of basic precautions of like keeping the screen open and turning it off if you can, if we take those basic precautions, it's perfectly fine in Scotland.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep. And see, this is another thing. Like, I know a lot of people who their camera, their expensive piece of work probably overheats more than my iPhone does and stuff. I've never had my iPhone like overheat to the point where it shut down and I couldn't film. With the iPhone, if it gets too hot, like here in the Midwest, because I'm in Missouri, so the summers get hot and humid, like 100% humidity, and the heat index is like 107. And I don't know why people will still get married outside, but they will. So in the rare occasions that's happened, my phone screen will go dark, but it won't shut down. I've never had my phone shut down. And I've filmed on some wedding days where I'm like, man, if my gear didn't shut down this day, it's never going to shut down.
Yeah.
It's been so hot some days. But that's, everybody could deal with their gear overheating. And like I said, I haven't had a huge issue with it. So really, it's just more not like problems I'm solving, but okay, like how can I make it better than it already is, if that makes sense. So lighting and audio are like two things that I'm really looking at for this year.
Yeah.
Was it McLean Carlson from Hello Tomorrow that did a really cool video about toast lighting?
Yes, it was.
Maybe a few months ago now.
It was a few months ago.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you see his video about practical lighting?
I don't think I did, so I need to go watch that.
It was certainly an interesting point of view, which I had thought of in previous years, but put it quickly to the side because the way that people do speeches over here is it's not like they have, like when someone gives a speech, they just stand up at the table and they give their speech and then they sit down, and then someone at the end of the table stands up, does their speech and sits down. Now, sometimes when we've, again, educated the couple and the venue has like a podium, we will ask couples to, or speakers to go to the podium, and they all happen in the one location, so people will get up very much like an American kind of style and go to the podium, do the speech, and then go back and sit down. But over here, that's not really the tradition. So it can be 50-50 whether or not you actually have the ability to put something in a scene when you don't really have that control, So
true.
We've always just had to spotlight the whole top table, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is, terribly aggressive sometimes in some of the situations that we've been in, but it really does make a difference.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but that was a really interesting video. So how do you like the speeches? Do you ever like the ceremony? Like, there's some really dark castles over here, so sometimes people have that conversation about light and ceremony spaces. We've never done it, but
right now, besides my LumiCube, which really only comes out like for first dances if needed, the reception and like a dark send off, I am like 100% natural light right now.
Yeah.
So other than that, and I mean, it's worked. Like I said, I'm proud of the work that I come out with, but I also know, and I think this is what keeps all of us going, it can always be better. How can I keep learning? How can I keep improving?
Yeah.
So I think investing in lights is going to be my natural next step because, if you see like anything great shot on iPhone, it had proper lighting, it had the key light and the backlight and the side light and all the lights. So that's something that I need to, that's like my next, I think, journey of improving my films is adding more lighting and things like that. So I don't like the ceremonies. I don't do any of that. I'm a pretty low maintenance girly when it comes to gear. Obviously, like I rattled off on my gear earlier. But yeah, I think that's like my next adventure is trying lights. And that's why people are so quick for me to give up the iPhone. I'm like, whoa. Like, I'm not done. Hold on. We still have I still have so much stuff I want to try. Like, I haven't even like properly lit my films yet and all this stuff. Like, my work looks fine now, but like, imagine whenever I have all this other stuff too. Like, hold on, we can get there. So anyway, like I said, not that you have to have the gear. I don't have that gear now and I'm doing fine. Exactly. But just for my own, let's just keep learning and playing. So
I don't suppose we haven't talked about this, but obviously you shoot an iPhone, but I feel like there's a new model of iPhone every year. What is your approach to upgrading your gear? Do you have your phone on a contract? Like those kind of things. Do you ever worry about how quickly your tech can go out of date? Even though it's, again, not about the gear, but...
So that's a conscious thing that I go through because, yes, it seems like August, September, Apple rolls out their new launches for the year. And I make the conscious effort to only upgrade every other year. Partly because, I just think about like Sony users and like they probably don't upgrade every time Sony drops a new camera or whatever. I just don't think it's necessary. And again, I am of this mindset and I want to stay in this mindset of it's not about the gear. You don't have to have the latest and the greatest and the most expensive. So naturally my contract is up every 2 years. So when my like normal contract would run up on my iPhone, I will upgrade then, but I don't go out of my way to upgrade as soon as the latest and greatest drops. I think that's also just like a good discipline, like an internal discipline thing to have, to like know there may be something better out there, but we're going to use what we have and it's still going to be good. And we're going to look forward to the next upgrade. And so that is kind of my approach with,
do you ever worry that there's too many pictures of your son and you'll run out of memory?
I don't have a problem with memory. So 2 big problems I'm always asked about and 2 big problems I'm solved is battery life and storage. I've never had an issue with storage. I don't know if it's because I film in Filmic Pro instead of the native camera app. I haven't really been able to pinpoint why, but I used to shoot on the 256 gig iPhone. Now I have the 512. I am spoiled with the 512. On my 256, I could easily hold 2 full wedding days in there. And I usually shoot probably about 300 clips per wedding, probably on average. And then on my 512 right now, on my 14 Pro Max, I have 2 weddings and like, I'm not exaggerating, probably 20 other projects on my phone right now, as well as all of my normal everyday stuff. And I still have storage to spare. So I'm very fortunate that storage isn't something I have to worry about.
Yeah. Good. Because that would be my concern. But
yeah, that's like everybody's concern. And if you have like the 128 or below, you're going to be struggling. But as long as you have the 256 or above, I've never had any problems. And then I just always carry an external battery in my fanny pack with me. And all of my gear allows me access to my charging port. So I can charge my phone at any point during the day. So then I don't worry about battery either, which is nice.
Are you plugged in while you're shooting as well sometimes? Like, do you just run a cable from your fanny pack up? Yeah. Cool.
Yep. If I need to, which is, I can get through a little bit of the day, usually like getting ready and first looks. And then around then my battery's starting to drop. I'm like, okay, it's time to plug in and keep this thing alive. So yeah. And I don't have any issues of like charging while I'm filming. So that's been a really good solution for that problem.
Yeah. That's cool. So, do you have any advice for any videographers or even photographers who have maybe thought about shooting on an iPhone but are hesitant because of how they might be perceived as a professional in the industry? Do you have any advice for them?
I just talked about this on a podcast that went out last week, and then on my Instagram story, I was like, I feel kind of like the punching bag on social media for people in this industry. Of course, because I'm not talking to myself, if I'm talking to everybody else.
Oh, we've lost you. Hello?
Not criticism. I take criticism well, but I don't take very well.
Sav, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, we lost you for a bit.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Where do I need to pick back up?
The beginning.
Yeah, it was basically the punching bag, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. So yeah, I feel like the punching bag. So because I'm not talking to myself, it's really easy for me to say like, who cares what those people think? They're not your paying clients. Your clients are probably not going to care. If anything, if they're your right people, they're going to think it's cool. And if they're not your right people, they're going to hire somebody else. That's what I would say to anyone else. But being on the receiving end of, and what I said was, I'll receive some criticism, which doesn't bother me. I can take criticism fairly well, but it's the hate that I struggle with. I know that's hard. And unfortunately, when you put yourself out there on social media, as my husband says, you just kind of open the door for people to hurt you, unfortunately. So I would just say, make sure you have places where you can recenter on what matters in life outside of social media and maybe even outside of your business. Like I recenter on my faith. I recenter on my husband and my son and my friends and family, and just making sure you have a place mentally that you can go back to whenever people are being ugly, that you can say, those are lies. That's not true. They are not defining me. They're not defining my worth, because you can let yourself have some pretty dark days on Instagram if you let yourself read too many comments, especially when you do what I do, and filmmakers are not happy about it. So my advice would be, if you're tough, hey, to hell with them. If you're not tough like me, go into it prepared mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all the things. Make sure you have your places that you can find truth, people who know you and love you. And that can be said for anyone on social media who are putting themselves out there on it. Like, honestly, that could be said for anybody in life. But unfortunately, I have noticed that other filmmakers get quite upset about what I do and some of the things that I post. So if you're going to start into it, just know that could happen. But hey, I have your back. The people who love you have your back and know you. And I think, and if you practice at anything long enough, you can become great at it. So like my goal is to get people to stop asking, why won't you upgrade from the iPhone to, yeah, why would you? Because when you look at my work, it's undeniable that I'm proud of what I create, and I'm creating beautiful things and telling beautiful stories. And it doesn't matter what it was shot on, whether it was a Fuji, an iPhone, or a Sony. Like, there's just an undeniable fact that it was good, and it didn't matter what it was shot on. So that is what I would say to people. Unfortunately, hurt people. And filmmakers can be mean. I suppose. I don't want to say that. I get more support than I do hate, but
it's because we're dreadfully unhappy with our lives, isn't it great?
It's because we spend so much time on music beds or music.
That's right. Fuck you, music bed. You ruined my life. God damn it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
no,
man.
But that's, if you're interested in it, also follow my TikTok, because I'll teach you all the things. I joke and I say I'm spilling all the tea all the time because I don't gatekeep or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I am, like I said, starting to maybe offer mentorship. So maybe I get compensated a little bit for my knowledge. I should probably be doing that. So yeah, that's what I would say to those people.
I'm really disappointed that is the world that we live in.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this and you're one of those people, have a lovely day.
That's right. Thanks for sitting around for 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 10 seconds. Now get out.
Yeah. Except for that guy who listens to our podcast who said that it's boring as fuck talking about coffee. Fuck you, pal. Fuck you.
That's rude. You guys are like the least boring people I've ever talked to. He must be boring.
He must be boring. But have a nice day.
That's right.
Sorry.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. You did mention your $10 iPhone course. I think people should absolutely go and buy it.
Yep.
First of all, where can people find it? What will they learn? Who's it for? This is a lot of questions in one question. Go.
I'm ready. They can buy it at the link in my bio, #influencer. What they're going to learn is they're going to get a rundown on all of my gear. So I actually brought all of my gear with me to this class and like showed it and showed the features of it. So you're going to get a full rundown and like a full visual of all the gear I have, how I use it. We're also going to be talking about better filming, better editing, and better posting practices on your iPhone. This is an extremely like beginner basic course. So this is going to be for someone who truly needs it broken down to the simplest terms. We're not diving deep into anything technical. This is going to be great for people who are maybe interested in starting their wedding filmmaking journey on an iPhone. This is going to be really great for people who own small businesses and just want to shoot better content for Instagram Reels or TikToks on their phone that they already have. Or even people who want better personal videos for family vlogs or influencers or travel vlogs or things like that. So I really think no matter who you are, you can get benefit out of just knowing the thing you have in your pocket a little bit better. It's 10 minutes, it's $10, 30 minutes, super quick, and it's super simple. And I think it can be a gateway to like learning a lot more from there. So I feel like it's a great jumping off point for anyone who's interested. It's like super accessible and simple. So that's the iPhone course.
Obviously, it's also a gateway to shooting horizontally, the proper way.
Yes, that's right. 16:9 all day.
Well, for people who want to improve like social media content, would this be handy for them?
Yes.
Okay. Very cool.
Absolutely. Because a big part of what we talk about is better posting practices. And a lot of people, don't know why their videos look like crap after they upload them. That's something we talk about in the course. So they all go hand in hand. Better filming, better editing, better posting. They're all a part of the process of achieving the best quality outcome. So yeah, I would say really anyone could get value out of it. So
yeah,
Very
definitely
cool.
go check it out.
Yeah, and you mentioned potentially mentoring. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you opened the gate.
I know, I did. I say
Link in bio as well.
No, maybe send me a DM. And it's not. We don't have links for it yet. But yeah, I have a couple of people that I'm starting with. Just some super great people. They're gonna be my guinea pigs, and we're gonna see how it goes. I'm someone that if I'm going to do something, I want to do it in excellence. So I try to not, but I also get really excited and I'm like, I've had this dream since this morning and I'm not giving up on it now. And we're jumping in today. So I have to balance that with, okay, I want to be excellent. I want to provide people with value. So that means we got to slow down and we've got to think this through and we got to sleep on it. And, let our projects breathe a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm at with this mentorship journey. But I'll just say we sent some stuff out yesterday. So I'll just say that.
Cool.
Same.
So keep an eye out for that.
Maybe send me a DM if you're interested.
Yeah.
So in wrapping up, we've got a couple more questions. Do you have any book recommendations or TV shows or anything that our viewers should check out?
I don't read because I'm a dumb American and I'm just kidding.
Okay. Wasn't expecting that.
Sorry. I don't read. I wish I had books. I wish I was that girl, but I'm not that girl. Right now, I would say in the past, haven't had a lot of time. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, I'm too busy to watch TV. Like, I have more important things to do. But I kind of have been too tired and too busy to watch TV until I took this 6-month break. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch a show before I go to bed. And I've really been really loving Yellowstone. I'd never seen Yellowstone before. And as most filmmakers probably do, like now that you do wedding films or filmmaking in general, you watch other things and see how they composed, how they color graded. Like you just take notice of those things. And so I've really been enjoying watching how they've shot Yellowstone and their color theory and all of that, just breaking it down in my head as I'm just enjoying the show, like a normal human being. So yeah, Yellowstone was just beautifully done. So I've been enjoying watching that. But as far as like TV that's, like good and wholesome, no. I would just say if you're a filmmaker and you've never thought about drawing inspiration from films or TV shows, maybe take a closer look next time you're watching your favorite show or movie. You might draw some inspiration or learn something just from watching what people before you and better than you have done. So I do that quite often.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you been watching anything recently, Greg?
I've actually recently started Yellowstone.
Oh.
I'm halfway through season 2 just now, so I'm really enjoying it as well, and it's beautifully shot as well. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you agree. That affirms me. I just started season 3, so we're like really close.
yeah.
I won't give you any spoilers.
Yellowstone. This is the ranching. Yeah. Cool.
Cowboys and Indians.
Intense.
Oh,
is-
super intense.
I was watching it over my wife's shoulder
Yeah.
while editing one. What was it, last year? It was first season. I can't remember. But yeah, pretty good. You're right.
Been out for a couple years.
Cinematography, the color grading, very nice. I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. I've been playing a lot of Zelda, a lot of Tears of the Kingdom, and watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Right.
Okay, is it really good? I've heard it's good.
It's really funny. I wrote it off for many years. Again, it was another TV show that my wife watched. Didn't pay any attention to it. And now I'm absolutely addicted to it. Hilarious.
I just finished New Girl and I fell in love with it. It was so,
I love New York. I love that show.
it was so good.
Zoe Deschanel. Love her.
Oh yeah.
And Nick. Hilarious. Don't know the actor's name, but he's funny. He'll always be Nick to me. That's the problem.
Yeah.
He's in so many other things, but he'll always be Nick.
You're Nick. Okay, who are you, Greg? Have you watched that show?
I have, not for a long time, but I have. Zoe Deschanel. Like, she's lead character, but she makes the show.
Yeah.
You're the
Very
main
good.
character
Yeah.
in life. Yes, you are. You are the main character of your story.
Thank you.
I think I am Cece and Schmidt combined.
Oh my God.
I think so.
Combined. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's hilarious, man. But yeah. What else is everyone watching? I hate when YouTubers ask to comment down below because obviously it's just a algorithm thing. But I'm genuinely interested in what people are watching. Yeah.
I just do this podcast to get TV recommendations.
TV, even though you barely watch TV.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. We're watching the same show. So.
I know. Damn it.
Talking about TVs. This is really annoying. How the TV just automatically turns off the logo.
You guys are having. I told you guys when we started. I think I have a curse. I caused technical difficulties. I don't know.
This
the
is not
drama.
you. That I promise that's not you. That's just cheap TV problems. Yeah.
Okay.
And it'll just
It's not about the gear. It's okay.
That's right. I'm just disappointed you didn't let us know. You said you were going to call out all the technical issues, and you just left it there. Hagen, how could yourself? How could you do this
I'm
to me?
so sorry. Honestly, you guys are having so many issues I'm trying to keep up with. I can't keep track.
No one will ever say this is a smooth running podcast. It's always a fucking dumpster fire every episode. It's just a different issue every time. I suppose that keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost there. One more question.
We can get there. We can get there, team. Right, go.
Do you have what's your one piece of advice for anyone who's just about to start in the industry?
Ooh, just like the industry in
Just
general.
starting in wedding films, one piece of advice that they must know.
At the end of a wedding day, find the parents and shake their hands, like firmly. Like if you don't have a firm handshake, practice firm handshake, or hug if you can hug them, and just let them know like what an honor it was to be a part of their children's day. Because I think it's just little things like that that honestly don't have anything to do with the film at all that go a long way. A huge thing also in our industry is referrals.
Yeah.
If you can build a good relationship with the parents and the bride and groom and the wedding party, that's where your referrals are going to come from, whether they get married and have you film it, or they have friends or other children or whatever it may be. But just really focus on the relationships. If you see an opportunity to serve someone in any way that has nothing to do with making your film better, but just helps the day run smoothly, whether that's serving a family member, the bride or groom, another vendor, take it and serve them joyfully. Those would be my biggest pieces of advice.
Yeah, that's some good advice.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry, I had a tickling nose. What a great piece of advice. Out of all the years I've been doing this, you always learn something new. Never really thought about going to the parents at the end of the night. It's interesting that some wedding suppliers don't even go to the couple at the end of the night. They just kind of fizzle out and disappear, which we're not all about.
Yeah.
But the parents, great idea, great suggestion. So I'll be taking
Thank
that
you.
to the bank. Fuck it, I'll be saying goodnight to everyone. I'll just be like, right, good night. Oh,
goes a
thank
long
you.
way.
Great dance moves. Hey, little kid, high five. Why not?
Well, and you're a parent now. Like, think about how long of a ways that would go with you. Like, for a parent, I mean, obviously it's the bride and groom's day. It should never be about the parents. It's not, but it's silly to think the parents didn't also just have a huge day themselves.
Hell yeah.
And to just like look them in the eye and shake their hands and just let them know what an honor it was to be a part of their family's day. I think that just is like a super, like, just respectful thing to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just try it once and see how it makes them feel. Cause I think for me, that's what keeps me doing it.
Yeah. There's been a couple of occasions where a dad has come up to me and thanked me, and I felt
That's
good.
awesome.
I felt
Yeah.
good about it. But you're right, because these people invite us into their homes sometimes, certainly into their special memories. And yeah, great. I'm taking that. Thanks, Sav. Thanks.
You're welcome. Happy to help.
And that's the end of the podcast. Where can people find you online?
I am on Instagram, A Girl and Her Phone Videos, TikTok, A Girl and Her Phone Videos, and I have a YouTube channel if you're interested in not watching like short form content of my work. If you want to see the full films, YouTube is a great way to do that. And that is A Girl and Her Phone is my YouTube channel.
Hell yeah. And I really do recommend that you follow Sav. I really enjoy watching your TikToks. I think you come off great when you are, just talking to the camera. I wish I had that skill. I don't. I wish I did. But
You're
it's so good.
charismatic.
So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
I will always watch. And people can find us at cinematefilms.co.uk on Instagram and Facebook at /cinematefilms. Yeah, we've got new branding. So we'll let you know what happens with that. And thank you very much to With Jack for sponsoring the episode. If you have loved this conversation as we have loved it, you can hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Perspective by Cinemate or wherever you get your podcasts. However,
In the meantime,
enjoy your life. Buy some plants. Yeah.